Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are well. So today I am going to start the next chapter, chapter number 5th, heat. So watch this video carefully to understand the concept. So our first topic is heat as a form of energy. Okay, before starting this topic, I just want to give you one example. Now in the winter season, every individual has a tendency to rub their hands. Why? Because of rubbing causes the warmthness on the palms of hands. And why we are feeling this warmth? It is very simple, because of heat. So we can define that heat as a form of energy which causes sensation of warmth or coolness. Means we can define the heat which gives a sensation of warmthness or coolness. That is why we are feeling the coolness in the season of winter and we are feeling hot during the summer season. So we can also define heat. Heat is also defined as a form of energy due to the random motion of the molecules of an object. So what is the definition and what is the meaning of this definition? I'll show you with the help of this simple clip, and you can see all the molecules are in a form of motion. They have a random motion. You can see here all the molecules are moving aimlessly from here to there. When they are moving aimlessly from here to there, that time they are hitting one another. You can see at different points the molecules are hitting one another while roaming. So while hitting, they are producing heat energy. So you can see the molecules are moving aimlessly from here to there, and while moving they are hitting one another, and that time when they are hitting one another, that time they are producing heat energy. So that is why it is written here, heat is also defined as a form of energy due to the random motion of the molecules of an object. Because of when the molecules are moving, they have a random motion. While their motion, they are hitting one another, and that time they are producing heat. So okay, next is, we know that energy is the ability of doing work. We know very well, in third chapter I had explained to you. And next is, when a machine does mechanical work, heat energy is produced in it. How? You can see here this picture. In this picture you can see a blade is cutting an iron pipe. So it means this cutter is doing a mechanical work on this iron pipe. That time, due to the friction, heat energy is produced. So that is why it is written here, when a machine does a mechanical work, heat energy is produced in it. Even heat energy can also make a machine to do the work. I will also explain to you that why this line is written here. But we have to move further now. The sun, the earth, friction, electrical energy, chemical reactions, nuclear energy, and many more are the sources of heat energy. So basically, sun is the main source of heat energy, and we are getting heat from the sun. And now you can see here some other examples are given to you. That is, burning of fuel in an engine produces heat energy in the engine, which makes it work. So that is why it is written here. Similarly, heat energy can also make a machine to do the work, because of when we are filling the tank with fuel, that time engine produces heat energy, and this energy makes the car to do the work. So basically, heat can also help to do the machines to do the work. So we burn petrol, diesel, or gas in a car engine to make it run. And you can see here also, when we apply brakes to a fast running car, tires leave their prints on the road. Why? Because of you, we know that when car is running, that time due to the friction, tire gets heated, and the rubber of the tires get melted, and when the brake is applied on the car, that time the tires leaves the prints on the road. This is also done because of the heat. And some other examples are given to you. I had already explained this one. So you can see an iron pipe is cutting with the help of this blade. That time this blade is cutting this iron pipe. So even this cutter is doing a mechanical work on this iron pipe. That time the heat energy is produces. So even in the refrigerators and the air conditioners, heat is drawn. So basically all these examples are related to the heat energy. And now at end of this page, you can see, we know that all the matter is made up of atoms and molecules. Molecules of an object move here and there aimlessly. While roaming, they hit one another to produce heat energy. I had already shown this one to you through the clip, that how the molecules are hitting one another, and while hitting they are producing heat energy. So I hope this is clear to you. Okay, on the next page, the next topic is units of heat energy. Since heat is a form of energy, so like other energies, unit of heat energy is joule, having symbol J. So like other forms of energy, the unit of energy is same, that is joule. But most commonly used unit of heat is calorie. So that is why we have to define heat energy in the form of calorie. How we can define a 1 calorie? So this is an important definition, you should see this one carefully. So 1 calorie is defined as amount of heat energy used to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Means when we are raising the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius, that time total amount of heat energy is required is equal to 1 calorie. So like this way we can define 1 calorie. So 1 kilocalorie is equal to 1000 calorie, and also 1 calorie is equal to 4.2 joule. So this is the unit of heat energy. So the next topic is different scales of temperature. Okay, before starting this concept that what is the temperature, just now I had explained to you that heat is a form of energy which gives a sensation of warmth and coolness, and we can feel hot or cold with the help of our senses. Means we can feel the coolness or the hotness of an object by touching. But our sense of touch cannot measure the actual coolness or hotness of an object. Means we cannot exactly tell that how much the object is hot or cold. So that is why we must have some sort of unit or some sort of device. By using that one we can exactly measure the degree of hotness or coolness of an object. So this one we can define as temperature. So temperature is the degree of hotness or coolness of an object. Means with the help of temperature we can exactly tell the degree of hotness or coolness of an object. Means we can tell that how much the object is cold or hot. So this is the concept. So now basically temperature is measured in 3 units, that is Fahrenheit scale, degree Celsius and Kelvin scale, and I will also explain you one by one. So first of all we have to understand that Fahrenheit scale. So journey in a day-to-day life we use this Fahrenheit scale while measuring the normal body temperature. So we know that what is the normal body temperature, that is 98.4 degree Fahrenheit. So this time when we are measuring the body temperature, that time we express the temperature of the body in Fahrenheit scale. So that is why this example is given to you. You can measure it with the help of mercury thermometer, that is called clinical thermometer. So okay, the range of this Fahrenheit scale is defined from the ice point of the water to the steam point. So this scale is on the name of the inventor Fahrenheit. In this scale water turns into ice at 32 degree Fahrenheit. So basically the range of this Fahrenheit scale is defined from the ice point to the steam point. Means at the water at which temperature turns into ice, that is 32 degree Fahrenheit. So it means ice point of this scale is 32 degree Fahrenheit, and the steam point of water in this scale is 212 degree Fahrenheit. Means at which temperature the water starts boiling, that is defined in Fahrenheit, that is 212. So the total scale between these points is divided into 180 equal parts. Means from the ice point to the steam point the temperature is divided into 180 equal parts. So each part or division is called the degree Fahrenheit, which is denoted as degree F. So I hope this is clear to you. Now the next is degree Celsius or Celsius scale. So this unit of temperature we use in a day-to-day life many times. Means simply when we are expressing the normal day temperature, that time we are expressing the temperature of the day in degree Celsius. Even we are running our ACs also showing the temperature in degree Celsius. So that is why this example of air conditioner is given to us, that is what is the temperature at which you run your air conditioner normally. Normally we are running our AC air conditioners at 24 degrees centigrade. So centigrade is now called the degree Celsius or simply Celsius. So that is why we are using this Celsius scale in our day-to-day life. So the ice point of the scale is 0 degree Celsius. Means the temperature at which the water starts into ice or water starts freezing is at 0 degree Celsius, and the steam point of the water in this scale is 100 degree Celsius. The total scale between these points is divided into 100 equal parts. Each part or division is called the degree Celsius. Means Again in this case also, from the ice point to the steam point, again this degree Celsius is divided into 100 equal parts. So I hope this is also clear to you. And the next is Kelvin scale. So now you can see there is another unit of temperature, that is Kelvin, having symbol K. This unit is now used almost worldwide. So that is why when we are expressing the temperature internationally, that time we express the temperature in Kelvin. So the ice point of the scale is 273 Kelvin, means ice starts freezing at 273 Kelvin, and the steam point of water means the point from where the water starts boiling in this scale is 373 Kelvin. So the total scale between these points is divided into 100 equal parts. Each part or division is called Kelvin, which is denoted as K. Again means from ice point to steam point, this is divided into 100 equal parts. So I hope this is clear to you. Okay, now the next topic is the relation among different scales of temperature. So the first relation is given, that is between the Celsius and the Fahrenheit scale, that is C over 5 is equal to F minus 32 over 9. So this formula we have to use while converting the value of degree Celsius to Fahrenheit scale or Fahrenheit scale to degree Celsius. So this is also given in simple form, that is 9C is equal to 5F minus 160. So we can directly use this one also. So one example is given to us, that here the 100 degree Fahrenheit temperature is converted into degree Celsius. So I will explain this example to you. So see this one carefully. So okay, now see the relation, that is 9C is equal to 5F minus 160. So directly we can use this formula to convert the degree Celsius into Fahrenheit scale or Fahrenheit scale into degree Celsius. So here I am taking the example from the book, that is let us convert 100 degree Fahrenheit into degree Celsius. Mean this time we have to convert 100 degree Fahrenheit into degree Celsius. So we have to use this formula directly. We have to put the value of this F in this formula, and then we can find out the value of this degree Celsius. So now you can see 9C is equal to 5F minus 160. And the next step is 9C is equal to 5 into F. F means degree Fahrenheit, so put the value of F here, that is 100. So here the value of Fahrenheit scale is given, that is 100, so put here, then 5 into 100 minus 160. And the next step is 9C is equal to 500, because 5 into 100 will become 500 after multiplication. 5 multiplied by 100 is 500 minus 160. And the next step is 9C. Then you can see we have to subtract 160 from 500, so it will become 500 minus 160 is equal to 340. And now you can see in the next step 9C is in multiplication, so when we are taking it to the right hand side, then it goes into the denominator, so it will become C is equal to 340 over 9. And now at the end you can see this 340 is divided by this 9. After division it will become C is equal to 37.8 degree Celsius. So this is the formula, that so this is the method that how we can convert the Fahrenheit scale into degree Celsius. So I hope this is clear to you. Now the next formula is how we can convert the Kelvin scale into degree Celsius. So I had written this formula in simple form. You can also see from here, because of in book the same formula is given but in a different way. So see this one, K is equal to 273 plus degree Celsius, means Kelvin temperature is equal to 273 plus degree Celsius. So we have to directly put the value of degree Celsius here, then we can convert the degree Celsius into Kelvin scales. So this is a very simple formula. Now you can see convert 27 degrees Celsius to Kelvin. So here we have to convert this 27 degrees Celsius to Kelvin. So now you can see in the formula we have to put the value. So the formula is K is equal to 273 plus C. So the value of C in this case is 27 degrees. So put the value of C here. So it will become 27. So now we have to add only these two values. After adding it will become 300. So the degree Celsius means the 27 degrees Celsius, when converted into Kelvin it will become 300. So this is the answer. So the next topic is effects of heat. So in our day-to-day life, we see many effects of heat in our surrounding. So now we are going to learn that what are the effects of heat. So a simple example is given to us. You can see here this person is eating some food. So the first question is asked to you. So can we eat a raw food? Of course not. Because first of all we have to cook our food. So while cooking, we can see that the color and the size of the food changes. So it means the physical as well as the chemical changes are taking place while cooking our food. So it means this is the effect of heat. So we see many effects of heat in our day-to-day life. So both living as well as non-living things get affected with heat. We sweat a lot when we feel very hot. So let us study some important effects of heat. So the first effect is change in temperature. So the first point is change in temperature. Of course, when we are supplying the heat to the body, that time the temperature of the body rises, and when we are drying the heat from the body, then the temperature of that body falls. So that is why heat always causes the change in temperature of the body. And also important line is written here, that is heat flows from a body at a higher temperature to a body at a low temperature. Means heat always flows from a body at high temperature to a body at a low temperature. So that is why when a body is heated, its temperature increases. On the other hand, if a body is cooled, its temperature decreases. So this is the effect of heat, that is change in temperature. And also some more important discussions are given here, that is different objects react differently to the heat. Means different objects, when the same amount of heat supplied to them, they react differently. Means their change in temperature in that bodies rises differently. So you can see, take a piece of wood and a piece of iron of similar shape, place them in sunshine for some time, touch the piece of wood as well as iron, then what you observe, what you find, that is the piece of iron is hotter than the piece of wood. So thus we can say that change in temperature of body depends upon the two things, that is the nature of its material, means which kind of material we are using, and the next is the amount of heat supplied. It also affects the change in temperature of the body. So this is the concept, means first is change in temperature, the next is the change in temperature is also depends upon further two things, that is the nature of its material and the amount of heat supplied. So here some examples are also given to us. You can see when a teapot containing water is kept on same mode of cooking stove, its temperature rises slowly. Why? Because of that time a less amount of heat is supplied. But when it is kept on high mode, its temperature rises quickly. Means when we are supplying more amount of heat to the water, that time the temperature of the water rises quickly. And you can see this one also. Have you ever felt shivering cold when fever increases? We, of course. Why? Because of when a high fever is there, that time heat of the body increases, so the body temperature also increases as compared to the temperature of the surrounding. So the heat from our bodies at high temperature starts flowing to the surrounding and we feel cold. So these are some examples that is given, that is about the change in temperature. Okay, now the next topic is change in size. Of course, the heat changes the size of the object. When we are supplying the heating to any substance, that time the size of the substance increases, and when we are drawing the heat from the substance, that time the size of the substance decreases. So basically heat increases the size of the object when we are supplying the heat to the object. So we are using this property in a day-to-day life many times. You can see here, when the lid of this glass bottle stuck firmly, that time we cannot remove this one easily, that time we are unable to open this one, that time we are putting this one into the hot water. While dipping this one into the hot water, the size of the plastic increases little and then it can easily remove. So that is why the size of the metal increases more than that of glass when heated, so it becomes loose and can be opened easily. So by this way we are using this property to open this glass lid. Okay, now the next example is the wooden wheel of a cart. So you have seen this one also. This is a wooden wheel, but you can see an iron ring is fixed outside of this wooden wheel. So how this is done? It is also done with the help of heat. So when we are supplying the heat to the ring of a wooden cart, that iron ring, and when this iron ring get red hot, that time the size of that iron ring increases, and then it can easily fixed on this wooden cart. And after that, when it get cooled, then it gets shrink because of the size of this ring, that time decreases, and then it firmly stuck on this wooden cart. So by this way, iron ring is fixed on this wooden wheel. And the next example is the rubber ring of a pressure cooker. So the rubber ring of a pressure cooker lid becomes loose after use. Of course, when we are using the pressure cooker, that time this rubber ring is getting the heat and then it gets loose because of the size of the rubber ring increases. So that is why its size increases when heated time and again. So these are the examples given to you of some substances where we can directly see the change in size when they are getting the heat. So this is the practical examples. So I hope this topic is also clear to you. So okay, now the next topic is expansion and contraction. So what do you understand by the expansion and the contraction with changing in heat? That is, when we are supplying the heat to any substance, that time the size of the substance increases, and when we are drawing the heat from the substance or simply we are cooling the substance, then the size of the substance decreases, mean the size of the substance contracts. So that is why this is called expansion and contraction of the substance. So this is because of the heat. So you can see the definition. We know that when an object is heated, its size increases. Substance generally expand on heating and contract on cooling. So this is also known as thermal expansion. Means when we are supplying the heat to the substance, that time the size of the substance increases, and when we are drawing the heat from the substance or simply we are cooling the substance, then that time the size of the substance decreases. So now you can see some practical examples are given to us. So first of all, you can see from this picture, two railway tracks are joined together, and you can see this gap is left between these two railway track. Why this gap is left? Because of it, during the hot season, when the railway tracks are getting the heat from the surrounding, and due to this heat the size of the railway track increases, means the length of both railway tracks increases. That time this linear expansion is absorbed by this gap. If the gap is not left between them, then when the size of the railway track, means when the length of the railway track increases, that time may the railway track can bend and it may causes the railway accident. So just to avoid these kind of things, the gap is left between the railway track. So okay, now see the next example, that is, why are glass or wooden strips placed in cement flooring? So you can see here in the cement flooring, you can see in the small gaps the wooden strips are placed inside these gaps. Why? Because if floor is made in one piece, it might crack due to the contraction in winter and the expansion during summer season. Because of if we are making this floor with a single piece of cement, that time it may crack from many places due to the contraction and the expansion. So flooring in small pieces with glass or wooden strips in the gaps help in absorbing the expansion and the contraction due to the change in heat. Just to avoid this cracking, small pieces of glass or wooden strips are used in the gaps. So the next example is about the bridge. So you can see this thermal expansion is also seen in the case of bridges. So you can see this bridge is placed on these two ends and this end is fixed. So here you can see this end is fixed and the another end is placed on the rulers. Why? Because of during the hot season, during the summer season, when this bridge is getting heat from the surrounding, that time its size increases and these rulers moved in the forward direction, and when in during the winter season the size of this bridge contracts and then the rulers helps to bridge to move in the backward direction. So like this way, with the help of the rulers, the thermal expansion of this bridge is absorbed. So these rulers help this bridge from cracking. Now the next example is about the wires. You have seen that the wires are tied on the poles. So you can see two pictures are shown to you. This picture is of summer season and this picture is of winter season. So you have seen many times in the summer season when the wires are tied on the poles, that time the wires are getting the heat from the surrounding, and that is why there are loops in the wire. Means if the wire is tied in on the pole, that time you can see there are loops in the wire. Why? Because of that time the size of the wire increases, because of the wire is getting the heat from the surrounding, and that is why its size increases. Now you can see during the winter season there are no any loops in the wire. Why? Because of during the winter season the temperature of the surrounding falls, and that is why the wire contracts and its size decreases, so it get tight on the poles. So that is why it is written here, wire expand during summer and contract during winter. So which examples I had explained to you are related to the solids, but in the case of liquid and gases the same thing is happened. But in the case of liquid and gases, because of liquid and gases doesn't have any fixed shape, So whenever there is any expansion and contraction in the case of liquids or gases, that time their volume increases or decreases. Means, so liquid and gases are also show thermal expansion and contraction. Since liquids and gases do not have their own shape, so they expand or contract in their volume. Means you can see here you can see, suppose this is a water, so you can see the heat is supplied to the water. Earlier its level was here, so after getting heat, its size or its volume increases, and you can see now its level. So in this way you can see that when the heat is supplied to the liquid or gases also, they are also showing the thermal expansion, but their volume increases. So liquid and gases show different change in their volume according to their nature for same rise in temperature. Okay, now some you can see activities are given to you on the next page. So these are also very important. So all the types of matter are taken here. You can see this wire is gas. So you can see, first of all, this is a case of solid, this is a wire, and you can see the heat is supplied to the wire. After some time this wire gets loose. Why? Because of its size increases. So that is why after getting the heat its size increases and it gets loose. So now you can see this one also. In this beaker you can see, first of all, the level of water is here. You can see this one, this is showing the level of water, and when the heat is supplied to this water, that time its volume increases and then its level rises. So that is why on heating water expands, so level of water in tube increases. So you can see this last activity, this is about the gas. First of all, you can see deflated balloon is fixed or put on the neck of this bottle, and first of all it was in the deflated condition, this balloon, and when the heat is supplied, that time air inside this bottle get heated, and after getting heat, volume of the air expands, and this expanded volume, the air gets inside this balloon and the balloon starts inflating. So this is shows that the air is also the volume of the air is also increases when the air is getting heat from the surrounding. So now the last effect of heat is change in state. We had just studied that the changes of heat, that are change in temperature, change in size, and now this is change in state. So it means the heat can change the state of a matter. So what is a state? We have studied very well in our previous classes that a matter exists in three states, namely solid, liquid, and gas. So it means the heat can change the state of the matter, means the heat can change the solid into liquid and then liquid into gas. So you can see an example is given to you. So first of all, read this definition. A solid changes to liquid and then to gas when heated up. Means when we are supplying the heat to the substance, that time the solid substance changes to the liquid, and when we are supplying the heat further, that time liquid changes into gas. So but when cooled, gas turn to the liquid and then to the solid. But when cooled, gas turn to liquid and then it turns to the solid also. So means when we are supplying to the heat, even that time the heat can change the state of matter, and when we are drawing the heat from the substance, that time the state of the substance changes. Okay, now you can see some examples are given to you. So this one is solid and this is liquid and this is gas. So here in this picture, the arrangement of particles is given to you. In the case of solid, molecules are tightly packed, and in the case of liquid, molecules are little loosely packed because of the force of attraction between the molecule is less than solid. And you can see in the case of gases, the particles are far apart from each other and they have a very less intermolecular space between them. So this is shown by the arrangement of molecules. When we are supplying the heat to the solid, that time solid changes to liquid and then further liquid changes to gas. So example is given here, that is about the water. You can see, for example, when we heat ice, means this time we are taking this example. For example, when we are heating ice, ice is a solid, so it turns into water, means on supplying heat, ice changes to water. And now on further heating, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius for some time and then changes to steam. Means when more heat is applied to the water, that time it changes into steam. So means solid changes to liquid and then liquid changes to gas. So this is the effect of heat also. This is the third and the last effect of heat, that is change in state. So okay, now you can see this one also in your book. this table is given to you. So in this table, this change in state process is given to you. You can see this one also. This is name of process, change in state, and then heat. So you can see here, when the solid changes to liquid, that time solid is absorbing the heat. So that is why here it is written heat absorbed. Means when the solid changes to liquid, that time heat absorbed, and this process is known as melting. And when the liquid gets heat, that time it changes to gas. Even in this case, liquid is absorbing heat. So this process where the liquid changes to gas is known as vaporization. And you can see the third, this is the gas changes to liquid. Means when the gas is changing to liquid, that time the heat is drawing from the gas. Gas is releasing the heat from it, and that's why the gas changes to liquid. So that is why here written the heat is dismissed. So this process is known as condensation. And last, fourth is when the liquid changes to solid. Even in this case, the heat from the liquid is drawn out. So that is why it is written here the heat is dismissed. And this process is known as freezing. So for this week, in this video, you have to learn only this much portion of this chapter, and in the next video, I will explain to you the next part of this chapter. And still, if any student has any difficulty, then you can call me also. You have my contact number. So till then, learn physics and stay healthy. Thank you.